Hi, I'm John Crawford. I'm bald, I'm blind, and I'm back. Well, we talked yesterday about me and the possibility of doing a live stream. I will give you a little update on that. I know that's not the biggest announcement on TikTok. Everybody does live streams, but a few people are kind of looking forward to me playing my guitar and stuff. I will tell you that it's going to depend on my voice getting back into shape first because I'm going to want to play and sing. And my voice just isn't up to snuff yet. So it's probably going to be a week or so before I'm able to do that. Anyway, in the meantime, I thought I'd share another funny blind story. This one is probably one of my most embarrassing moments ever, and it's all on me, guys. You're going to love this one. Okay, so many, many years ago, when I was a young person in my early 30s, I was an aviation enthusiast. Well, I still love that stuff. We're all would-be fighter plane jockeys, aren't we? I mean, I learned all about like the F4 and the F-15 and the F-14 and the F-16 and the F-18 and now the F-22 and the F-35. And then I learned all, but it wasn't just that. It wasn't restricted just to that. I was interested in things like Cessnas and King Airs and Piper Cubs. And then I got into like Boeing aircraft and McDonnell Douglas aircraft. And I was just big into all of that stuff. And it was one of those dreams of mine that someday I could be a pilot when I was a little kid. And the realization of that hit me pretty hard when I realized I was probably never going to be able to do that. So in my adult life, I began trying to learn as much as I could as a blind person would be able to experience the world of aviation. And in so doing, my wife, one year for Christmas, bought me a very expensive and professional level flight simulator for my computer. And I had a flight yoke and I had all these manuals and I went through all of these lessons and things trying to figure out how to have the closest experience I could to actually flying an airplane. Now, let it be known that I don't hold any illusion to the fact that I am nothing like what a real pilot is. I understand that they go through so much training and they have to have so much understanding of aircraft and physics and safety and regulations and all kinds of things and then you have to be able to really see what's going on in your environment. You have to be able to see your instrumentation. It's just not something that someone with my vision is ever going to be able to do. So like I said, I tried to have the most realistic experience as a blind person can have in experiencing the world of aviation. In so doing, I found myself learning a lot about different kinds of aircraft, everything from fixed-wing aircraft to helicopters to VTOLs to all of that stuff. So I got really, really excited about that. So a friend of mine took me to an air show. So we went to this air show, and all day long I'm with him and some of my other friends, and I'm just talking up a storm about the C-130 and the all the different aircraft that are at the air show and like the P-51 and all kinds of stuff that I was really, really fascinated with. And we come across this I think it's a fixed display of a helicopter. Looks like a small combat helicopter. So I go walking up to it and I'm putting my eyeball all over it, looking it all up and down. And I have decided, listen to this carefully, I have decided that this is an AH-64 Apache helicopter. At the time, one of the newer attack helicopters in the United States Army's inventory, the AH-64 Apache. Now, the AH-64 Apache has some very specific characteristics, including some front-end avionics. It's got landing gear instead of struts and some various things that I was not paying any attention to. I was being a know-it-all. It's all on me here. So I'm standing here and there's a guy standing next to me and we're both admiring the display. And I said, nice helicopter. That looks like an Apache to me. And he goes, no, I think it's an AH-1 Cobra, man. And I said, and of course, here I am, I'm being Mr. Know-It-All. And I said, no, sir, that's not correct. If you'll observe carefully, that is an AH-64 Apache helicopter. It's one of the newest in the United States Army's inventory. It's, if you can see, it's got landing gear. And he just very calmly and quietly, he was really cool, I got to admit. He was standing there and he goes, well, sir, I believe that's an AH-1 Cobra, unless the Army's been lying to me about it for 25 years. And I'm telling you, have y'all ever seen the movie Top Gun where Charlie meets Maverick and he says, you know, she says, "What's your name?" And he says, "Maverick." And she says, "What's your mother not like you or something?" And he goes, "It's my call sign." And she puts her hand on her mouth like this, and she's pretending to be all shy and demure. No, it's just, "You're the pilot." And so I wasn't thinking about it. Y'all, I put both hands on my mouth and I actually said, "You're the pilot." And he was very cool. He just said, "Well, yeah." And then I looked more closely. My blind self looks more closely at this dude, and I realize he is standing there in a flight suit, and I'm sitting here telling him what aircraft he's flying. Now, let me tell you what happens after that. I said, "Sir, all I can tell you right now is that I'm an idiot, and I am really sorry for doing that and just being such a know-it-all. I feel really stupid right now." And he was like, "Hey, man, it's cool as long as you're enjoying yourself. It doesn't matter." And then he says, "Well, I gotta go right now." And now, this is the fun part. He goes and gets in the helicopter, and he gets to fly away in this helicopter, and I get to stand on the ground like a little kid and bye. So that was my embarrassing blind story at the air show. All right, guys, y'all have a good night. We'll talk to you later. Bye.